Hello, this is James Arnold. In this session, we're going to talk about mechanics changes, we're going to talk about suggested COVID 19 procedures, and we're going to talk about the mechanics manual a little bit, and we're going to talk about the playoffs. First of all, let's talk about mechanics changes for 2020. Basically, it's not really a change. This is kind of what we've been teaching in the camps last year, I know, and some of the year before that. Basically, we're going from our initial keys, the numbering system, where we're numbering the receiving team 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and 5. We're going to zone coverage. So after the ball's kicked, we immediately go into zone coverage. The mechanics are the same. The referees at the goal line with the wing officials, the field judge and side judge, and the six-man crew are still at R's restraining line, and the umpire is at K's restraining line. So as soon as the ball is kicked, umpires busting it to the middle of the field to get in their zone coverage. Initial key is the same. Stay making sure that the kicker's out of danger, nobody's cheap shotting the kicker, and again goes to zone coverage, working inside out. Everybody else is off the field except for the referee. And basically at that point, it's a running play all the way down the field. So let's say the ball is kicked here, close to the goal line. Referee and head linesman in this situation will look at each other and make sure that he's not in. It's not a touchback. If you see the touchback, proper touchback signal is right here. It's over your head, side to side. That's the proper touchback signal. If it's in the goal line, and like we said in the past, if it's half yard line, his momentum takes him back in. Nobody's going to say anything if it's a touchback. If it's a touchback, it's a touchback. So no, somebody's going to say something if he's in the end zone. He catches the ball, he runs it out. So just FYI. So in this situation, the ball is caught. We're winding the ball. Head linesman and head line judge are basically, they've got the ball carrier all the way down the field to the 2 yard line. Referee immediately after the catch is good, he immediately goes to zone coverage, looking at the blocks in front of the runner. Field judge, side judge, coming 5 to 10 yards downfield, depending on how deep the ball is kicked. Zone coverage in front of the runner if it comes to their side. Off ball coverage if it's to the other side. One thing that we did see last year, I want to hit on is in any kind of free kick in high school football now, if it's a varsity game and mostly in JV games, you the only people who should ever come on the field should be the umpire and the referee. Those are the only two people we saw. And I think it was a championship game last year. We had a kickoff to this side. Head linesman was going downfield. The line judge actually came downfield and was running almost at the numbers. We do not want that, guys and gals. We want this off the field, running down the sideline, off the field. So remember that. That's just a FYI. Also, umpires, we've seen several umpires, especially during the regular season on six-man crews. The umpire basically jogging in here or strolling in here or walking in here. The umpire, after the ball's kicked and we got to get a kick, nobody's offsides or it's not a dead ball situation, he's busting it in here. He's running as hard as he can to get in here. And then he sets up and has his zone coverage. He doesn't have to go downfield that far, but he has to bust it to get in there to make sure the kicker is clear, and then zone coverage working inside out. Everything else is defined in the mechanics manual. I don't want to spend a lot of time with this, but six-man mechanics, it's basically the same, just clarified a little bit. Seven-man, also the same. The only difference here is our back judge here. We're splitting the field into 4 zones here instead of 3. Better coverage. Shouldn't ever miss anything. Right, guys and gals? Mechanics manual. Let's talk about that. In the past, the fee for the officials camp has covered the cost of Referee Magazine basically putting our manual on their digital portal and us paying the licensing fees for all their mechanics grams and everything else that's they own and license in their books. So this is basically a Referee Magazine book that you would purchase that they put together for us, and we've paid part of your camp fee in the past is paid for this for you to get this for free as part of you attending a camp. Well, this year, reducing the camp to $30, there's no money there after the Georgia High School fee and paying everybody who puts all this stuff together for you. There's no money there to pay for these manuals. So this year, you will have to purchase your manuals. It's one manual on their digital portal, like it has been. Go to it. We sent out the link just recently, so you can go online and purchase it. It's $10.95. That cost is completely to Referee Magazine. No money comes back to Georgia High School. No money comes back to the camp committee. All that is what they charge. We do have to pay them a fee every year to edit this and update this thing. So part of your camp fee this year out of the $30 that you're paying is going back to Referee Magazine to pay their fee to update the manual and part of the fee to host it. So part of your fee actually is going to this, but we don't have enough to pay the whole fee that they charge. Usually they charge a high school association or a college association, if they have their own mechanics manual through them, like $20, and they gave us a great deal at $10.95. I hope you take advantage of this manual. It is first class. Their mechanics grams are real clear to read. The changes are highlighted here. All their mechanics, everything that is for Georgia is in here. Basically, our 7-man manual is mostly NCA. There's 7-man mechanics. There's a licensing fee that Referee Magazine pays the NCA. So we in turn pay Referee Magazine, who pays the licensing fee to NCA. So for our 7-man manual. So it is different, but a lot of the mechanics are the same, and the mechanic grams are the same that they use in here. So if you're wondering why you're having to pay $10.95 for your manual this year, this is why. It's a first-class manual. We think that instead of us putting together and having little dots and all this other stuff that doesn't look very professional and not well done, this platform, is just another of, why Georgia high school officials are better, in my opinion, than most other states. Why our football is top-notch, top 1 or 2 in the country, and we have to be top-notch 1 or 2 high school officials in the country to keep up with this. And this is one of the things that should help you, along with all the other stuff that we have for you, free training at the GHSA referee training website that we have with all our different stuff from our camps for the last few years. We hope you take advantage of that also. So you got a lot of tools to you. This one may cost you a little money this year, but we feel it's well worth it. Now let's talk a little bit about the virus and some of the stuff that's been put together by National Federation and Georgia High School for if you want to do it, you can do it. It's just guidelines. They're not mandates. There's no mandates in there that you have to do any of this. We are asking, except for basically the social distancing whenever possible. Everything else is a suggestion. So let's go through a few of these recommendations from Georgia High School and the National Federation. First of all, I want to talk about the uniform. In the past, we've never wanted anybody, if everybody's got short sleeve shirt on, everybody wears a short sleeve shirt. If everybody wears a long sleeve shirt, everybody wears a long sleeve shirt. And we never have a long sleeve black fitted shirt up under a short sleeve shirt. Well, this year with the virus situation and for anything that we're looking for anything that will help you feel more comfortable and safe out there as you officiate this year, it is permissible if you want to wear your long sleeve shirt. And then if people want to wear a short sleeve shirt, and there's a couple of people who don't feel comfortable wearing a short sleeve shirt out there, they want to wear a long sleeve, they feel more comfortable, and it gives them more protection, that's fine, no problem. Also, if somebody wants to wear a black compression long sleeve shirt up under their short sleeve shirt, that's also permissible. We're not going to anything to make you feel more comfortable, as in you can see right here. If you want to wear that, the only thing we ask is it's black, not white, not blue or gray or any other color. If you're going to wear a long sleeve compression shirt up under your short sleeve shirt, just try to keep it black. Also, masks are not mandated in any sense. at this point. Now, if the governor mandates the wearing of masks, then we may have to adjust that, and that guidance will come from Kevin and Georgia High School Association. But at this point, as of this recording, there is no mandate that you wear a mask as you officiate. So if you do if you do want to wear a mask, feel more comfortable, that is fine. Or a gaiter, one of these right here. The only thing that we ask is either be black or white. If you want to wear this stripe thing too, that's fine. We just don't want any kind of communication or advertisement or anything like that on it. Just keep it simple. Don't draw attention to yourself. Who would have ever thought a few years ago that wearing a mask would not draw attention to yourself? But this is the way of the world we have right now. So, permissible. Just keep it simple. Make sure that you feel comfortable. It's whatever you want to do. Also, if you want to use a electronic whistle, if you're wearing a mask, you can't blow a whistle. So if you use an electronic whistle, there's several out there that you can purchase. Please use those if you'd like. Also, gloves. If you want to wear gloves, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you want to wear short sleeve shirt, black compression shirt up under there and wear gloves, go right ahead and do it. The one thing that we do ask is that they're football gloves like you'd wear in cold weather, black, mostly black or white, whatever. Keep it simple. We really don't want pink gloves out there or yellow gloves. Another thing you need to be aware of is officials are not responsible for monitoring activities on the sideline, such as social distancing, hand washing, symptoms of illness, or other such issues. This monitoring of anybody on the sidelines remains with the coaching staff and the school personnel and the game administration. So we have no business worrying about what they're doing or how they're doing it or whatever over there. That's up to the coaching staff and game administration. All right, let's talk about your arrival at the school, what the schools are responsible for, and procedures for pregame. First of all, if you want to arrive, if your game kicks off at 7:30, and your plan is to dress at the school, say like right in here. If you want to if you want to come dressed to the school, put everybody meet in the parking lot as right here, and put your hat on and get your whatever else you need to officiate the game in the parking lot. Come dressed. Feel free to do that. If you don't want to get there if your game kicks off at 7:30 and you want to get there at 6:30, everybody meet in the parking lot. Make sure that's fine. Come dressed if you want to. Make sure that your game administrator for that game knows what time you're going to get there, knows how many parking places you need. Let them know that that you're going to come dressed, and make sure that their security person or game administration person meets the crew in the parking lot wherever they're going to park you. That's key. They are responsible for your security as you arrive at the game site. And if you're going to come dressed, they need to meet you in the parking lot. All that every week needs to be told to the game administrator. What time you're going to get there? I would suggest no later than an hour before game time. If you think you can cut it close at 45 minutes and get everything in, get everybody in a position to start the clock at 30 minutes, that would be tough. I would say an hour would probably be cutting as close as you want to get to, and that's fine. This year with all the COVID stuff, we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable in what they're doing. So after you get there, the arrival at the school, hopefully the game administration will have somebody there to take your temperature and make sure everybody's feeling well. If somebody arrives at the game site and doesn't feel well, tired or hurting or don't feel well and got a temperature, they cannot officiate that night. They need to go home. And in that situation, if you don't have somebody who's on the clock who can come down on the field, then you're going to have to work 5-man crews. And my suggestion, and I'm putting it out there, is make sure that during your week of pregame and in these situations where if you're coming dressed and you're going to do your pregame, you need to do your pregame beforehand. I suggest Thursday night. or you can talk, do a conference call as you drive to the game site. I don't know if you're going to ride together. A lot of you are going to ride separately. All that has to be worked out beforehand. And also, like I said before, let the game administrator know how many parking places that you're going to need. If there's 7 cars coming, they need to find 7 parking places for you to park, or 8, whatever it is. So all that has to be done beforehand. I don't know. Every association handles this differently. The referees may be responsible for doing that, or the assigner for each game may be able to be responsible for that. But all that needs to be spelled out to every game administrator before every game on Friday night or Saturday or whenever it's going to be. So when you arrive back, let's go back. So if you arrive at the game site and you do not feel well, be prepared as a crew to cover 5-man mechanics, and have that in the back of your head. The 5-man mechanics manual is still online. You can download it for free at the Georgia High School football training website. It's been there. We haven't updated it in several years because the mechanics haven't changed in several years, but you need to have that in your back pocket. Download it on your phone or tablet, or print it out, whatever you want to do. So that's out there for you. If you come into an emergency situation where nobody else is available and the last second somebody's ill and they can't officiate that night, you're going to have to go to 5, so be prepared for that. Now, the schools are, as part of the mandate from Georgia High School, that they provide the officials with a disinfected, clean area for their pregame for your pregame conference that has been sterilized, that has been cleaned, and they're supposed to have sanitizing stuff available to you. Some kind of sanitizer, hand wash, or whatever it is may be. That's what they're responsible for. And a pregame place where you can be socially distanced to have your pregame. I've talked to a lot of people who would feel more comfortable just arriving dressed, having done their pregame in advance, and then go on the field. But if you want to do this at a school right here, socially distanced pregame, this should be available to you. If it is not, you need to make sure that you let your assigner know so he can report it to Georgia High School Association. Just like in this picture right here, we're going to try to stay socially distanced as a crew when we come on the field. That means we're going to have to get in a corner somewhere in a circle, socially distanced, to talk about stuff before we go on the field also. It's a different world out there, guys. So, take advantage of everything that you have, all your tools that you have available to you, and what the schools are supposed to provide us. And if you feel comfortable doing a socially distanced pregame at the game site, you should have that available to you. That's cool. If you want to come dressed to the game, get there an hour before the game, meet in the parking lot and go on the field, that's cool also. I've had a few questions. Is every place going to check your temperature before you go on the field or enter the stadium? I believe that is part of the Georgia High School mandate, that every game personnel will have their temperature taken before they enter the field or before they enter the game. So that's players, coaches, and all game administration. All right, let's talk about coin toss. As you can see in this mechanogram here from your mechanics manual, we're probably going to do a little different pregame this coin toss this year, where in the fact that we're only going to have one captain from each team come on the field. The National Federation recommends that you only have one official out there for the coin toss. I really don't feel comfortable in that. Your coin toss should be covered with 2 officials, your referee and your umpire here. You can be socially distanced as you come on the field and stay socially distanced during the coin toss. One captain will be walked out by, whoever's responsible for walking out the captains. One captain from each team. The official on the sideline will not walk the captain out. The referee will wave the captains out. They'll walk out by themselves. Everybody stays socially distanced. Referee, I suggest you have a big enough coin to where everybody can see what's heads or tails from a social distance. Just a little tidbit there. Get your whatever the guy wants, heads or tails, flip the coin, catch it, don't catch it, up to you. Make sure that after you toss the coin, you show each team what the result was. Do your basic coin toss mechanics, give the signal, stay socially distanced. Pretty simple, different world. Yes, I understand that, but this is what we have to do. Pre-game and post-game ceremonies basically suspended because of the COVID-19, where they've suspended basically all handshaking, pre-game and post-game. So let's talk a little bit about your pregame with your head coach. The National Federation recommends that you have one official and one head coach in the middle of the field. I don't know how well that would work. Honestly, I think you need two officials there talking to the head coach. So, we've all officiated. If you've officiated for a long period of time, you know the reason why you need two officials when you're talking to the head coach pregame. Things get forgotten, blah, blah, blah. You can stay socially distanced with two officials and one head coach. Middle of the field, I'm not going to tell you to go to the middle of the field. I would just find a corner somewhere away from everybody else where you can talk to the head coach. Keep it simple, keep it quick. Basically, you're asking the same questions you have asked in the past. Get the captain's number. We're only going to do one captain. Well, you want an offensive and defensive captain. You can get all the captain's numbers and then get the captain who you're going to walk out there. I always ask who your starting quarterback is, what his number is, if he's right-handed or left-handed. I always ask about the field goal kicker, right-footed or left-footed, his number, and the punter's number, and if he's right-footed or left-footed. Remind him of sportsmanship. And then we're going to have to ask this one additional question that's been added this year. This question has been added by Dr. Hines. This question will be asked before every pregame to every head coach of every sport that Georgia High School has this year. So you're going to ask this for every varsity game, every playoff game, and every JV game. And the question is, prior to each contest, all players, you will ask the head coach prior to each contest that all players have been screened as defined by their infectious disease protocols plan and are not positive for COVID-19 to the best of their knowledge. At that point, they should say yes. Again, Georgia High School will require all Georgia High School officials to ask the head coach prior to each contest if all players have been screened as defined in their infectious disease plan and are not positive for COVID-19 to the best of their knowledge. Why that you have to ask that? That's a legal question. I'm not a lawyer, but this is a mandate that you have to ask when you're having your pregame with the head coach. A couple other things to talk about in our COVID considerations this year. The National Federation Georgia High School on each team box has been moved out to the 10-yard line on each 10-yard line. So they can take their players out to the 10-yard line to socially distance their teams. A recommendation from me is do not hesitate. If that coach is down at the 10-yard line raising Cain at you for whatever reason, if he's using that team box expansion just to stand there and complain to you or gripe at you, feel free to send them back to the 25. Don't hesitate to send them back to the 25 because that 10-yard box has not been moved out so they can continue to complain or gripe at the officials. That's for their team to move out and their team to be socially distanced. That's what the reason that's for. So all their team personnel can observe social distance 3 to 6 feet, which in some situations will be really tough. Let's talk about some more protocols. If you do not feel well, please notify, in advance. If you don't feel well, Do not hesitate to cancel out on the game. Notify your assigner immediately. National Federation in this presentation recommends calling the school and whatever, but your responsibility is to your assigner. Your assigner will take it from there. I don't see everybody needs to call the administrator if they're not feeling well. This says a temperature above 100.3. If you're not, I'm just going to say, if you're not feeling well, do not hesitate to say, I do not need to officiate tonight. Just a reminder, vulnerable individuals as defined by the CDC as people 65 or older and others with serious underlying health conditions. Officials fitting this description may wish to seek medical advice prior to returning to officiating in 2020. A few more protocols to talk about. Travel considerations we talked about beforehand. If you don't feel comfortable traveling together, please travel separately. Do not share uniforms, towels, apparel, or equipment, especially water bottles. I would bring your own water bottle. Put together something somewhere to keep it on the sideline for the officials. Work out something. I know it's different. It's going to be hard. Some associations are buying water bottles for their officials. There's a lot of things that can be done. I would highly suggest bringing your own water and then working out some way to get it to you on the field or whatever. Again, maintain social distance. Distancing is 3 to 6 feet while in the locker room or on the field. Georgia High School has added to their constitution and bylaws. All member schools hosting a regular season and playoff contest shall sanitize the officials' dressing room prior to their arrival, and providing sanitizing equipment in the dressing area for individuals' needs for the contest officials, and have ample space and social distance. That's for your pregame. Again, this is what's supposed to happen. If it does not happen, make sure that you notify that you're a signer, and they can contact Georgia High School, and appropriate action can be done. All right, let's talk about playoff process. It really has not changed from last year. We're gonna hit the highlights through this. Eligibility is the same as it was last year. Must attend a GHSA playoff camp. Work enough games to have a credit for a good year, which is 5. Varsity games are a combination of varsity plus JV games. A JV game counts as a half, so whatever combination, at least get 5 varsity games in. Must complete the Georgia High School Clinic online. Must take the rules test online and pass with an 84 or better. Must take the online 7-person mechanics clinic in November. All those have to be done for you to be playoff eligible in 2020. Now, this could change. Let's say the season got reduced or whatever. We will adjust as needed. All right, let's talk about playoffs and rounds 3, 4, and 5. So, as in the past, your association will be assigned games in rounds 1 and 2, just like they have been in the past. If you want to put together a crew or crews for rounds 3, 4, and 5, you can do that, and you can submit those to be eligible for playoffs in rounds 3, 4, and 5. How is that going to work? It's just like it was last year. So basically the associations are split up into thirds depending on how many playoff eligible officials you have in your association. So the top third will get to submit 3 crews for playoffs to work in rounds 3, 4, and 5. The middle third will get to submit 2, and the bottom third will get to submit 1. No change from last year. These crews that are submitted for works rounds 3, 4, and 5 will be evaluated by the Playoff Evaluation Board, which is we call PEB. The Playoff Evaluation Board is made up of these gentlemen right here. It's people from across the state. Every part of the state is a part of this Playoff Evaluation Board in 2020. Just a little feedback there. The Playoff Evaluation Board will not just they will not see the same crews over and over again. So if they work If they evaluate one crew the first 2 weeks of the 2 weeks, then they won't see that crew again probably till later in the playoffs. So, how's the evaluation going to start? The last 2 weeks of the regular season, the crews, the association crews that have been submitted for to work rounds 3, 4, and 5 will work together the last 2 weeks of the regular season. They will be evaluated those 2 weeks to get a baseline average score for their crew. Then they'll work together the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. They'll be evaluated during those first 2 weeks, and they'll be ranked. And then the top crews will work rounds 3. So that's 32 games in round 3. So the top 32 crews will work there. Then they'll be evaluated that week. The top 16 crews will work round 4, and then the top 8 crews will work the finals, just like it was last year. District crews. How do district crews work? Same as it did last year. Each association can submit one official per position to be submitted as a district crew. There's 6 district crews that are put together across the state, and this is basically people who are not working in the crews. They're submitted for their association crews. This gives extra availability for, say, people who did not make the cut for the association crews, or maybe smaller associations that didn't get to submit but one crew, and they've got 3 or 4 other officials that they believe can go deep in the playoffs. Those people can be submitted to possibly get to work as part of an association district crew. And it'll be basically a mix and match crew of different officials from different associations who will also be ranked and evaluated the last 2 weeks of the regular season, the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and they will be lumped in with the association crews and their scores. So basically the top 32 crews, rounds 3 out of the district crews and the association crews, will work rounds 3. And then all those crews that made that cut will be evaluated that week, and then those top crews will work the 4th round, and then the top crews will work the finals. So this is basically another opportunity for officials, maybe in different associations who didn't get selected for association crews, to possibly get to work the finals. So let's talk about dates for submission of association crews and district crews. We had some dates already put out to the leadership of each association, but those dates are basically going to be moved. At this time, we're not sure which dates we're going to move those, what time that you have to submit your crews or your association crews or your district crews, due to the season getting pushed back a couple of weeks. So that information will come out to your association leadership. If you do not hear that information, or it's not posted in your association leadership, please, email me or email Kevin and find that information out. It'll be posted. It'll be either posted on the Georgia High School website, and it'll be submitted to your association leadership. If any of this stuff that you've never heard of how we're doing playoffs, or how we're doing district crews, or what the information on the mechanics manual or whatever, if this is the first time you're hearing any of this and your association has not let you know, we need to know that so we can get the information to you. None of this stuff is a secret. We put everything out every year. All this stuff is available to you every year. And you as an official, your responsibility is to find this stuff out. If you don't find it out from your association, you need to find it out from somebody. And, that's what the leadership of the training committee, or one of the football liaisons between me, Keith, and Rick, are key to give you that information. All that information is out there for you. If you're not getting it from your local leadership, then please let us know, and we'll get that information to you. Lastly, I want to talk about flag football. Flag football is a new sport this year at Georgia High School. It's a sport for females. This year, I think we have 97 teams as of this date that are going to play flag football. If you've ever officiated flag football in college, or maybe if you're in the military, refereed flag football, or whatever league, flag football league, they have some on Saturday, Sunday for adults. This is going to be good for you. This is another opportunity to officiate football. Basically, how it works is every team that has a flag football team, if your association works that team in regular football, then you will be assigned. Your association will be assigned that team for flag football to cover. So we're looking for every association person has the opportunity to call flag football. This year, because of the COVID, we've had a lot of teams drop out, so there's not a lot of teams, let's say south of Macon. There's some in Savannah. There's a lot in West Georgia, Columbus area, LaGrange area, a lot in Metro Atlanta, East Georgia, Augusta, some in that area for South County, Cobb County, all Metro Atlanta. That flag football is going to be played this year. It's a quick game. I mean, the games last an hour at the most. The games will be played at least as a doubleheader or possibly 3 games, so one crew can go work 2 or 3 games at every game site this year. The games will be played under the NERSA flag football rules. With exception, there are Georgia high school exceptions, and those are listed on the Georgia high school website. Also, training material is at the GHSA football training website. We have a flag football link there. Has a bunch of videos through NERSA and a link to the Georgia high school exceptions. So if you're interested in doing flag football, all of that training material is out there for you. Well, we had a meeting the other day. As part of your registration, there is a separate registration for flag football. If you're a regular football official, I think you only have to pay $12-15 for your registration to officiate flag football. And we're working on trying to get you a rule book as part of your registration. That'll be a NERSA rule book. So remember, your NERSA rule book is going to cover all the flag football rules except for the Georgia high school exceptions, which are listed on the Georgia high school website. I don't want to go through those tonight or today. I'll be a coordinator for flag football, just like for regular football. Our liaisons, Jay Worley, Todd Downs, and David Reynolds. So you'll have a clinic you'll take online. You'll have a test you'll have to take online. And then training materials are out there that we have listed at the GHSA football training, a football official training website that we have out there. So we look forward to hopefully that you'll be eligible. You'll want to work these games. They're going to have playoffs just like regular football. This is going to start in October, run through November. We're going to start playoffs. The semifinals will be held at the Mercedes-Benz Dome outside in their Home Depot backyard. If you're familiar with the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they have a Home Depot backyard, grass field in the back. The Falcons are going to host that for us outside in December, and then the championship games will be held at before the single A championship on that Monday in December. So they'll be held at the Georgia State Stadium, the same place that the regular football is going to be played. Championships are going to be played at. They'll be played on that Thursday. So there's 2 different divisions of flag football this year. So the 2 division champions will play. The 2 divisions will play for championships on that Monday. Then a Class A game, and then the championship finals will last Friday and Saturday. So we're hoping that everybody's interested in calling flag football this year. We think it'll be a lot of fun. It's a growing sport. Lastly, I want to thank everybody out there for officiating this year. With all the stuff that's going on in the world, with everything, with the virus out there, and for you to take, with everything going on and officiating flag football, and regular football and flag football, hopefully, It's much appreciated by Georgia High School, myself, Kevin, Dr. Hines, Ernie, uh, Rick Bodie, Keith Hammond. We all appreciate everything that you are doing. It's I can't say how much everybody appreciates what you're doing because we're going to have football this year in some way or form. We're going to play football. So everything that you're doing out there is just making that possible for all the kids and coaches who want to play football, and it is very much appreciated. I hope you enjoy the rest of your sessions, the rest of this online education that we're offering this year, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Welcome to New Rules Review 2020. This year has been the fewest in recent memory, but two of the rules changes make changes or clarify changes as recent as 2019. So let's get started. Within the pregame conference, among several head coach declarations, he is to designate a game-long individual that will make all decisions concerning penalty acceptance, decline, or options when there are multiple. Injury, ejection, or an emergency can change this designation, but otherwise, this assignment lasts the entire game. It is reasonable to assume it will be the head coach, as it most often has been in the past, but this formalizes the assignment. There are several other declarations. Remember, he has to say that his team is legally equipped. This just adds to the pregame conference, which this year, with all the COVID-19 restrictions, is certainly going to be altered, perhaps shortened. This rule change has the potential to be helpful in the early months in our state. Lots of thunderstorms, lightning. I'm aware that the GHSA bylaws contain a mandatory 20-minute halftime unless prior written agreement during the week prior to the game. This National Federation rule overrides the bylaw when its very limited criteria are applicable. Notice that this has a application just in the last 3 minutes of the second period. This rule has the potential to reduce travel time, exposure to weather, and may even allow a game to be completed when it might otherwise not have finished. Please note that at least a 1-minute halftime must be held, and regardless of the length of the halftime, their mandatory 3-minute warm-up is not waived. This one has the potential to create problems for clock operators, field judges who are timing on the field, and referees if it's not remembered. Defensive injury or equipment issues are a 40-second play clock. Similar problems for an offensive team member result in a 25-second play clock. The Rules Committee was concerned about defensive teams gaining an advantage late in games. Let's look at some scenarios where multiple clock stopping events occur. Earlier this year, I sought clarification from the National Federation on what type of play clock we would have with dual injuries, an injury plus a penalty, and an injury followed by a prolonged media timeout. I even inquired what to do about inadvertent whistles and an injury. Okay, in this case play, a defender is injured after a blindside block. We have a flag. The clock stops for the penalty or the injury. With this scenario, the National Federation desires the play clock to be 25 seconds. The game clock will be started depending upon action on the play in question. But if you have a penalty that you're going to enforce, and you have a injury to the defense, we still revert to a 25-second play clock. Talk about an inadvertent whistle with a defensive injury. Remember that if you replay after an inadvertent whistle, you have a 25-second interval. So the first scenario, the offense elects to play the next down from the dead ball spot of the inadvertent whistle. That play clock is 25 seconds, even if you've had a defensive injury. The second scenario, the offense elects to replay the down. The play clock is still a 25-second play clock, despite defensive injury in both situations. How about an injury plus a prolonged media timeout? This you may see, for instance, in our finals at Georgia State. If you have an injury to a defender with a prolonged media timeout, it reverts to a 25-second clock. A good rule of thumb: the only time a 40-second clock comes into play with a defensive injury if that is the only reason to stop the clock. Anything else combined reverts to 25 seconds. Now, this was an omission from last year's rule book, and it's just simply a clarification. After a legal kick, and either team is awarded a new series, there's a 25-second play clock. This was an omission from the rule book last year, and many states just handled it on their own, as did Georgia. Disconcerting act penalty reclassified. This is going to be interesting because someone has to interpret what a disconcerting act is. It can certainly be physical movement, and it can be words by the defense. In this problem, when it's been enforced in prior years, it's been a 15-yard unsportsmanlike foul. That has changed. It is now a 5-yard penalty. It's not unsportsmanlike. And the signal is the old failure to wear required equipment signal that got tossed when the rule changed. Right hand flat behind the head. Importantly, this is not treated as an unsportsmanlike foul. This one's been a long time coming, guys, but it has some nuances to it that are important. Spiking the ball to stop the clock from the spread over shotgun formation. There are several requirements for this to occur that must be met. The player that spikes the ball must be positioned directly behind the snapper. The snap cannot be muffed or touch the ground, and a muff can simply be bobbling it in the hands. The action must be immediate without delay. No faking downfield, no taking 2 steps to the right and then deciding to spike the ball. It must be immediate action after receiving the snap. This may not seem like a new rule change to some of you. It's an attempt to clarify and standardize what states should be doing, and they have been doing it differently around the country. In Georgia, I think we have enforced this differently in various parts of the state. Now, this rule says an ineligible cannot go past the expanded neutral zone before the forward pass is in flight. Some states allowed a blocker keeping contact with a defender and driving him past the expanded zone. They allowed that to be legal. This is now forbidden. Equally important, if you wander past the expanded zone, realizing where you are and returning back behind the line of scrimmage or to the expanded neutral zone is illegal. Hopefully, this will standardize how we officiate the run and shoot type offense, in particular around the state. Please keep this in mind, line judges who are primarily responsible and umpires secondarily responsible for this. Now you're going to have a short quiz. You'll be directed to a Google document to record that. I'm glad that you've listened to this. The rule changes are clear, concise, and short. Thank you for your time.
The GAOA needs you now more than ever. My name is Hayes Cook, President of the Georgia Athletic Officials Association. Our mission is simple. It's promote excellence, advocate for you, and amplify your voice. You can join by 2 memberships, our traditional membership or our new free membership. Go to our website today, gaathleticofficials.org, or click the link to find out more information. Thank you.